Okay, well, anyway, so here we go. Here's a podcast. We're not sure how long this is going to go because our buddies are going to get here pretty soon. My name is Patrick. Also, first of all, let's tell the audience about what this podcast is about.
I'll also say my name is Wes.
Yes, that's Wes. But let me back up just for a sec. Let me not talk about Wes for a second because I just wanted to say that this is a podcast about the Fast and the Furious, both of those things, and how awesome those movies are.
At least at the moment, that's what it's going to be. Eventually, we're just going to talk about any movies that we feel like.
Right. So it's a movie podcast.
Yeah, but we're starting it out. We're kicking it off by going through the entire Fast and the Furious series.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm a film buff. I love films. I'm kind of a film nerd. I like to talk about films. I think I can say some interesting things maybe. And I have a lot of opinions I want to tell you guys about. So, yeah.
I like movies, but I'm not a buff.
Yeah. I'm the buff one, and Wes is not the buff one. I do a lot of working out.
I'm the weak, ineffectual one.
Yeah.
Over here.
I did a bunch of pull-ups in preparation for this.
But I also have opinions that I think are awesome.
Right.
Even though nobody else thinks so.
Right. I don't think so. And then I like to do push-ups too. So that makes me more buff than you and more important.
I do push-ups sometimes, but I don't like doing them.
Right. So I win.
Right. Okay.
All right.
We'll go with that. You win.
I win, and then we talk about the best series ever created by Hollywood ever, The Fast and the Furious, both of those.
The best series ever created by Hollywood ever?
Right. Well, right now that's what my brain's thinking. At least right now. We'll see about next week.
Right now my brain is thinking almost the exact opposite, but not quite. Okay.
Well, what do you think about all of that? Why would you say it's the opposite of that? Wait, hold on. Let me interrupt you. Okay, so we started the podcast I thought about this podcast thinking like, well, what series do I really like? I like The Fast and the Furious. I like a lot of other series. But so we wanted to know whether we should do one podcast for the whole series or if we should just like split it up. And I guess the way we're doing it right now is we're going to just watch it and we're going to watch one movie at a time and then do a podcast for every movie. So we both just recently saw The Fast and the Furious, that first movie. Okay, so now keep going. What did you say? Do you remember what you were saying?
You distracted me.
Okay. All right, let me distract you one more time. No.
Okay.
Okay, go. Go. I'll let you go.
What I was gonna say is the first movie.
Right.
I hated the first half hour or so.
Right.
I absolutely hated it.
Why? Have you ever seen those movies before?
No.
You haven't seen any of them?
No. You've watched the full series and you told me how amazing it was and that I needed to watch it, and I said, I don't want to.
Well, okay. Now let me get real for a second with this. When I first saw The Fast and the Furious, I did not actually like it. I did not like that movie. I mean, I kind of thought the whole like racing stuff was cool. The beginning racing stuff sucked. But then the end racing stuff with the whole like car crashing and shit and the guns and I don't know, it's all like that stuff with Nito.
I was going to get into that.
Okay, so what are you saying?
The first half hour, I fucking hated the movie.
Yeah, okay.
It was pure torture for me to watch it.
Right.
I hated all the characters. Right. I thought they were the most unlikable characters I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Awesome.
I really did not like them.
Yes.
Midpoint of the movie, I started liking Dom and Brian. Okay,
who's Dom and Brian? Explain to the audience.
Brian is an undercover cop who's trying to... what is he doing? There's there's a group of street racers that are jacking semis with expensive electronics and stuff on them. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And Brian is an undercover cop that is trying to figure out who's doing it.
Okay.
So he's getting in good with the street racing world.
Okay. Yeah.
And Dom is like kind of the top dog in the area, in the LA area.
Okay.
Of all the street racers.
Yeah.
So yeah, midpoint, like
Oh, this coffee sucks. Ugh. Ugh.
Is it kind of bitter? It was kind of bitter.
No, it's cold too. Hold on.
Oh, cold. Yeah, cold, bitter, not good.
Ugh. I'm gonna microwave this. Do you want your coffee microwaved?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Here, lean forward again. Well, I'm gonna get out. You're right. Thank you so much for letting me out.
I'm gonna lean forward and block your way.
No. I need to get out. Hold on. All right. So keep going while I microwave this coffee.
Okay. Well, midpoint of the movie, like the characters actually started developing. They go from your just generic car guy assholes to actual people. Like Don.
What was that point when you thought that? I'm fascinated by when you thought the point was where it actually started to get a little bit more real. Or the character development picked up.
I think it started.
Forward.
I'm already as far forward as I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, but you're like your butt is like at the back of the couch, and you're like leaning. You were leaning.
So
forward.
well, let me be forward in any way that I want to be.
All right. Be forward, my friend.
I'm about to.
Okay. Okay, keep going.
I think the character development really started when Brian brings that junk car to the garage.
Yeah.
And they're all fixing it up together.
Right. And he's like, I owe you a 10-second car.
Yeah, and they're getting ready for race wars in the desert, and they want to fix up this car.
And it's like, it's not really a car that he brings him. It's kind of funny because like everything's fucked up on the car. So it's like he brings him like a car that like has an engine inside it. So really he just brought him an engine.
Yeah, but they also have to do a ton of work on the engine too.
Right. So it's like, what did he bring him? Like, because
he brought him a hunk of metal from the junkyard.
Right. And so like he brought him this hunk of metal from the junkyard, and he's like, I owe you a 10-second car. And they're like, no, that's not right. You didn't get a 10-second car. That looks like a piece of shit. And it's like, open the hood. And like, so they open the hood, and I guess there's some shit in there. Like they get all technical, and they make it all fancy. Like these guys know what they're talking about. And they're like, oh yeah, you got that and that and that. Oh, that's really a good car. But man, this thing's fucked up. So we got to get like a whole bunch of replacement parts from Tokyo. And it's like, well, what the fuck? You're just going to buy a whole car, like one piece at a time from Tokyo? And then like, yeah. I
think they said this car could tear some shit up if you put about $15,000 into it.
Right.
So you might as well just buy a new car.
Right. Like what? He really brought him like a piece of trash. Like he could have brought him just a hunk of metal, like one of those cars that's like crushed up into a cube that they have like.
It almost was.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's all that was like. There was nothing redeemable about that car. Like maybe they could have anyway, whatever. I guess the engine was pretty good.
The engine. It was the engine block basically.
Yeah, he should have just showed up with an engine block.
It was basically a starting point to build a
relationship between the characters, right? Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, actually, here's the thing: watching it a second time. This time, I just came off watching it like earlier today. Like, this movie actually grew on me. I really thought I wasn't going to like it because I remember my experience watching this movie the first time back in maybe 2001 when it came out. I don't quite remember. Also, here's one of my things that I was really annoyed about.
Wait, when did the movie come out? Wasn't it about 2001?
I don't remember.
I thought it was. I think it was pretty early on.
Yeah, it was 2001 exactly. That's what I'm saying. Didn't I say 2001?
Well, that's when you said you first watched it.
Right.
So
because I saw it in the theater.
Oh, you saw it in the theater. Okay.
Yeah. I saw it in the theater because I wanted to give the movie a chance. Maybe I rented it or something, but basically I saw it when I was a teenager, and it was, I didn't like it, and I thought like this is so dumb because I was such a film snob back then. I only wanted to watch films that were realistic, like I only cared about like watching films where people actually talked realistically and they were trying to mimic reality somehow. Even though I was into films like fucking Alien, which is a brilliant film and the dialogue's brilliant and it suspends your disbelief, but god damn it, that's a bullshit plot. All of the films I'm into, even back then, were bullshit like plots that can never happen that have huge holes in them. And it's just like fantasy. So it's like, why do I care so much about it being taken seriously?
Well, it's basically the writer's ability to hide the holes. Because there's always going to be holes in a plot.
Right.
No matter what a writer does.
That's true.
Because if a plot doesn't have holes in it,
Right.
then it's a biography.
Right. It really doesn't matter. The whole point is to keep the audience entertained and keep them not looking at the holes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So, the Fast and Furious, I don't know. Do you think it has, let's talk about holes for a second. Do you think it has any holes? Or is it like, I mean, obviously the whole thing's bullshit. Everyone doesn't talk realistically. They all talk like someone out of a comic book, But like, do you think it has any holes?
Plot holes. I'm trying to think of anything specific.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to put a hole into a plot where it's so simple. I think that's part of the. It's an easy plot to write because it's like, well, I mean, here's a hole, if you could call it a hole. There's no way these guys know how to do this shit. Like, how the fuck did they learn how the fuck did street racers learn how to do like these like high tech, high speed heists on the freeway? Like where they're like launching whatever the fuck those things are.
Those grappling hooks.
Yeah, grappling hooks and shit. These guys are like they're behaving like they're trained Navy SEALs or something. Like they're ridiculous. Like, and it's
there is that. The other thing I was thinking of was when when Brian goes sneaking into that guy's garage. The Hector, the Mexican guy, he comes into the shop where Brian's working undercover, the parts shop, and he orders 3 of all these different parts for Honda Civics, which they know that they're the people that are doing the heists are running 3 Honda Civics, 3 black Honda Civics.
Right.
So he
with
comes
those
in,
specific parts, wasn't it? Like, or
no? Well, they know what type of tires they're using.
Okay, yeah.
And they know that they're black Honda Civics with what are those, the green neon lights that make them look like they're hovering at night.
And the Mexican game comes in there like,
and he comes in with a list of parts for Honda Civics. And he says he needs 3 of everything. So he thinks, oh, maybe this is the guy that's doing it.
Right.
So he sneaks into his garage and checks it out. And then
what does he find? I forget, that part confused me. What was he finding? Well,
he looks at the tires and he realizes they're a different type of tires than the ones they know that they're using.
I've zoned out a little bit during that part because I wasn't quite sure what he found when he broke in there. Like, I remember him looking at the cars and I was like, then he's all of a sudden has to go because, wait, why does he have to leave? Because he has to leave, or no, he just decides to leave, right? And then he gets somehow he just gets a shotgun in his face.
So somehow Vince, for some reason, Vince is there, with a shotgun.
Is that a plot hole?
And he knocks it out, and he knocks him out with it. It's not necessarily a plot hole, but the thing that is weird to me is he brings him to Dom to explain himself. He goes,
"Oh, I was right. I was right. Oh, I'm good at this."
Yeah, 2001. It came out 2001.
Yeah. I'm pretty decent at guessing the dates.
He's telling Dom he's a cop. He's been snooping around this garage, blah blah blah, and Brian comes up with some super flimsy excuse, and Dom just swallows it.
Okay.
And they move on.
Okay.
And for some reason...
Right. It's kind of interesting because he actually plays the rules right. There's always that scene in a movie where it's like someone asks... Where it's like where there's an undercover cop where someone asks, like, are you a cop? And like... and in this movie, he plays it right where he doesn't actually say...
He doesn't say no. He just sort of shakes his head.
He shakes his head. But I was thinking that's a little weak in the plot because I'm thinking Dom would be way more serious about that. Like, Dom would need him to say he's not a cop.
Yeah.
And
and I think usually I think undercover cops can actually get away with saying that
exactly.
They're not.
That's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's entrapment, but who the fuck is gonna tell the person? Who's the fuck's gonna believe the person that says, "Hey, he said he was a cop"? Like that, they can always get away with it. Yeah, it's entrapment, but I think they can always get away with it.
Well, it's hearsay. It's his word against mine.
Exactly. That's why they can always get away with it.
Yeah.
So it's like it really doesn't matter. The guy should have just said no. I'm not a cop because he can always get away with it, but he wanted to be a good guy. He's a good character, I guess. He's a good guy. But okay, so in that movie, who do you think is the most interesting character?
Oh boy, character-wise,
I might have to edit this part.
yeah, I'm taking too long. Probably the ADD kid, the one that
Oh, good
works on the
job.
engines.
Yeah, no, that good point. Good thing to point out. See, here's what I'm thinking. As I watch this movie a second time, I really love it. Like, I was afraid of watching this because the first 3 movies, honestly, kind of suck. Like, but although Jeff Gersman would totally disagree with me on the third one, that's his favorite movie of all time, or one of his favorites, and it's a brilliant film. But the first 3 movies really flounder. The second movie, you're going to have a real tough time watching. If you hated this first movie,
okay,
the second movie is going to be real tough.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Watching the first movie again, I realized there's something really working here. And it's, yes, the dialogue is extremely cheesy, but they're doing a good job of giving the characters realistic, or at least believable motivations. And I love the motivations between that character that you just pointed out, the nerdy kid, and the motivation they get for for Dom himself. Dom being a guy who nearly killed a man for killing his father.
Well, yeah, essentially he did. They were in a race, and
Right.
the guy clipped his bumper, and he went flying into a wall or something.
And then Dom being, I like the idea that these guys, their escape is the race. And although they could be doing something better with their lives, they need to be driving these cars all the time.
Mm-hmm. The motivations are fine.
Mm-hmm. And I mean by better, I mean like just something not illegal.
I want to come back to what I was talking about before, how I said I hated the first half hour or so,
Right.
and how the middle,
Okay,
the characters started becoming better for me.
Yeah, just jump in.
The last maybe 45 minutes I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Me too. That's the next part where I was like realizing, wow, this movie really is good. Because like, although it's extremely cheesy, the acting is very hit and miss at moments. Because
that's another thing
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to mention is the acting, particularly in the beginning, is super stiff.
right, everyone's terrible.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Like except for, and this is the thing, it's only in moments that I dig one actor, and that's Vin Diesel.
Yeah, me
Like,
too.
right.
Me too.
Like,
I totally agree with
There's
that.
moments where he really shines.
That's and it's the thing with him is it's usually the moments like when he's given the monologue about his dad.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
terrible.
That it's awful.
Oh my god, that scene sucked.
But the moments where he's really good is when he's not actually really saying anything,
and he's just being himself.
yeah,
or like
and
he's a tough guy, and he can do the tough guy stuff so good. It's like it's like he really has done that. You know, like
yeah,
it's
or even not necessarily the tough guy stuff where he's like, he beats up the Japanese guy at Race Wars
Right.
or whatever. That was really good, but.
What about moments like, one of my favorite moments for him? I mean, there's a lot of moments where he has like this, where he just like kind of asserts himself. But one specific one that I can point out that's a great one is where he brings the cop back to the house, and he's going from friend to friend, kind of like getting progressively more pissed off that he's realizing that his friends started partying while he was going to jail.
Right.
And
at least they thought he was.
Yes, and they just let him be. And they're like, we're just going to party because fuck him.
And,
like,
and then he jumps, the one guy jumps up, oh, we were just about to go look for you.
Yeah. When he's going around that whole scene, he plays brilliantly. Like
that was great.
That's amazing because you can see the emotion on his face, and the way he handles every different character that he interacts with in that scene is different and unique, and it makes sense. And then the moment where the guy that's the asshole that grew up with him, what is his name?
Vince, I think.
Vince, the one asshole character that reminds me of Kano from Mortal Kombat.
He does. I mean, he just looks like him. Number one,
exactly.
and
I
then
just think he's playing Kano from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
But it's before he became a fighter and lost his eye. But But like Vince asks him, why are you doing this? And then he starts, and then he really erupts. Then Vin Diesel really erupts, and it's because none of you came, or I forget what he says.
Yeah, he says, Vince is talking about the cop. Why'd you bring the Buster here?
Right.
Calling him a Buster. I don't know what that means.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
So here's the thing. I guess what I was saying was that Vin Diesel and that guy that you pointed out, that nerdy kid, might be the two most likable characters in the movie.
Yeah.
Here's another one, but she doesn't get enough. You'll see later in the series, she comes back with a vengeance because she's brilliant. But they barely give her any lines in this movie. But it's the girl that it's the woman that Vin Diesel is involved with.
Letty.
Letty is so brilliant.
Okay.
Letty is a brilliant actress, and she has some good lines.
Well, I know the actress. I can't remember her name because I'm terrible at remembering actors' names.
Yeah.
But she's a great actor. But this movie was at a point where she was really young still.
Right.
It's
before Lost. She was on Lost for a while.
Yeah, it was
remember?
before that,
but God,
she's done a ton of action movies since then.
She really brings up the whole. I remember a friend of mine. I was just talking about this movie recently with a friend of mine, and a friend of mine was pointing out that the Fast and Furious movies are actually for the type of movies that they are actually surprisingly decent for representation of various types of people, like different races, and also different sexes and stuff like that. The way the characters are handled. Now this one maybe not so much. I was kind of seeing a little bit of but especially Letty though, really a good female character. I feel
okay. Yeah, she was. This one, not so much. I mean, she's barely in it, really.
Right, exactly. At least she needs to be in it more and more of a pivotal character. Eventually she will be, and she's such a badass. God damn, it's so awesome. And the lines that she's given, and because she's an attractive female, the guys are all hitting on her and stuff like that, and she just has the right comebacks for them. And
I did like the little part that she had during the race wars.
Yeah.
With that one guy.
He was just $2,000, asshole. I'm not I'm not here to flirt with guys. I'm here to fucking race.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And she's so good at delivering the lines too.
That I think that's one of the things actually that about the movie that I hated at first is because every male character is that same guy.
Yeah.
That same chauvinistic bullshit guy.
Right.
Who he's got a good car with a fucking whatever engine in it.
Right.
And he thinks he's a badass.
Right.
And I hate that kind of person.
Yes. And that's why I hated this movie the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
Because it's all about just macho bullshit, right? It's just all these guys being macho bullshit. It's even made for people like that because the whole point of the film is to just have this adrenaline.
It's to show off the cars.
Right.
It's to show off the cars because obviously in the first movie all the budget went into the cars and not the actors.
Right. But luckily they got some guys that will eventually get even better. Actually here's the thing. Out of all of Vin Diesel's stuff, this might be the best performance he ever did, was this for a film.
Oh, okay.
And that's sad because he's not that great, but I know that he's had moments where it's he gets so real, and I'm thinking, I know he's just being himself. I know he's not really stretching as an actor, but he's got this charisma and this truthfulness in certain moments that makes me want to see more from him because I think he has potential, and I still think he has potential, but now he's getting kind of old, but whatever. I bet he's got, I just see a lot in him. But really looking back at this first movie, I'm like, wow, that might be the best performance he's done in all of the films.
Let me just circle back really quickly. I just want, as a side note, the first movie I ever saw Vin Diesel in was Triple X.
Oh God,
awful movie.
Yes.
But let me circle back.
Yeah.
You were mentioning the moments that Vin Diesel had.
Yeah.
That were really good, but you didn't actually mention the parts that I liked the most.
Okay, what are the parts that you liked most? I'm going to try to shut up and let you talk. Okay.
It's just little moments the first one I think was after the first race he had with Brian, and Brian is smiling and he's like, "What are you smiling about?" And he says, "Oh, because I almost had you." And it's the whole monologue he had where he's like, "You almost had me?"
Yeah. That's him being his macho self, right?
He's being his macho self, but it really toned down version of it.
Right, right. And the way he plays around with it, and you can tell like he's had that talk before, he's had that moment before, and he's having fun with his friends at that moment.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
The other moment that I can think of off the top of my head is when Brian brings the junk car, and Dom is just standing there, just kind of smiling and thinking it's funny at the moment. He's having like this. It's almost like he has this inside joke going on in his mind.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
When he starts telling him like, oh, you owe me a 10-second car, not a 10-minute car.
Yeah, that was great.
I don't know. It's just he feels very natural at that point to me.
Lines like that, even though they're terrible, they work for me. Like I get it that this film doesn't have the best dialogue or really has terrible dialogue.
His delivery of those shit lines is what makes him good, because anybody else that has a line like that, it comes out horrible.
Right. No one knows how to act except for him in this role, in this movie. You know, it's like Paul Walker has such problems. Like, that guy is not a great actor.
Is that Brian?
That's the
Brian character. Yeah,
but he is pretty. I like his eyes. And you know, it's
he's the classic pretty boy that they need.
Yeah,
because they need him to be the guy that gets all the ladies or whatever.
Right. So,
well, because he needs to get in good with Dom's sister or whatever first.
Okay, so let's maybe wrap it up. I don't know what else. Is there anything you wanted to talk about before I start bringing it home?
Not really. Other than I agree with you completely that the last action scene was incredible.
Okay, cool. Right. We do have to talk about that. That was on my mind too. Just as you were starting to talk, I was like, yeah, we still need to talk about the last third of this film, which is it's a sequence of events that are very well done. Like it's basically, that's where the film shines, is if you can stick it out to the end of this movie, you'll realize that you actually maybe do care about some of the characters, because even though they're terribly written, they get it in there for you so that you know, so you do care about certain things. Like, for instance, the guy, I guess we'll talk about everything, right?
I was thinking we'd just call this podcast Spoiler Alert, so we could talk about whatever the hell we want.
That's all right. Yeah, sure, we can do that. Okay, well then, fuck, but I'm gonna ruin it for people, because now I'm kind of saying like they should see it, but we should just have a description that says, if you want to watch this, if you haven't watched this movie yet, watch it. So, okay, anyway, you can stop the podcast now. One person that might be listening, that's probably Scotty or some person, like one of our friends. Like, if you don't want the end ruined or whatever, even though we've ruined a bunch of other shit in the movie, stop it now, I guess. Yeah. So, spoiler alert! Although all you guys probably have seen the movie anyway, so whatever. But, like, anyway, okay, so let's talk about the last third of this movie. So, basically, they, I did feel it when that kid got killed. When the that was all right. They had a good moment with him. I wish I could remember his name now. Where they set up this character, made you feel for him, and he's like, I could have done really good at school, but I have ADD, and like I like something about the engine, working on engines just like makes me calm. And then and he races that guy for the pink slip on. Apparently his car, it's his dad's car that he has, and his dad's in prison. He makes a stupid bet with with a bad guy in the film, with the real bad guy in the film. About racing a car, and it's his dad's car, and he loses it, right? Okay, so then he owes this guy the car, and he doesn't want to give it to him. He's like running away at the end of the race, and then like at the end, there's a cool thing where it's like this guy gets gunned down and you feel bad for him and stuff, and he's just freaking out. He's just a kid, and then Vin Diesel gets all upset and he wants to kill these fuckers that shot him down, that pretty much did a drive-by like right at his house, and shot the kid, and that was handled well. But was really handled well was what happened right before that, which what you were going to talk about, which is that action sequence where the truck heist goes wrong. because they have one less guy.
They have one less guy, and the truck driver's packing a shotgun.
And the truck driver's packing a shotgun. And I don't know if this is part of the storyline, but I thought it was an interesting fact that I noticed it. The truck driver at the very beginning of the film is the same truck driver at the end.
Is it? I couldn't see.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that they handled brilliantly is they never give a face to the truck driver. They're constantly showing, like, you know, the little things that he's doing inside the cab without actually making him a character. It's more like the truck itself is a character rather than...
Did you notice it was the same truck?
No, it's not the same truck. Actually, what I noticed was his face. But the thing is, there are moments in the wide shots where you can see his face. And okay. I'm just guessing, you know, it's just their stunt truck driver. Like, but I just thought it was an interesting thing if you want to think about it like that, as far as like part of the canon, that it's like this truck driver is the same guy that got ripped off in the first scene of the movie.
Right. So now he's carrying a shotgun.
Right. Yeah.
Well, they also did put it in there that the cops were saying, like, basically, all these truck drivers are getting pissed off that we're not closing this case.
Right.
And they're going to start taking matters into their own hands.
Right. And the vigilante truck justice is happening, which is kind of a badass thing to think about.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that's a cool element of the film. It's like now the truck drivers are just fighting back because the cops can't handle it, you know?
Yeah.
And I like that idea.
There's this whole moment where the whole truck heist is going bad.
Yeah.
And Brian comes in and saves Vince.
Yeah. And you feel bad for Vince. Like, the character that they set up as the worst character, you feel bad for him because Vin Diesel cares so much for him. Right. You know, like that's where you start, like you can see how much Vin Diesel cares about every single one of his team.
Yeah,
you know,
every member of his team.
Yeah,
and because they're all his friends.
And that's where the movie works, is when it's about him caring about his friends. Like,
but this whole sequence goes basically, truck heist goes bad. Brian comes, saves Vince. Letty's in a bad way. I think I hear Jason and Lauren.
Oh yeah. Jason and Lauren are the other guys. They're coming. We're going to be doing another podcast in a second here.
But
oh, they're here. Holy shit.
Well, let me answer the door and they can come in and we'll wrap it up.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay, so Letty. Brian comes in to save Vince. Letty's messed up because she crashed.
Yeah.
And then it's all in the same moment where, like, Dom is so relieved that he came in and helped him or whatever.
Right.
But then that's the exact same time that he finds out that he's a cop.
Yeah. Oh, that was a brilliant moment too, where he doesn't tell him that he's a cop. He just starts calling, and calling for some help, and he's calling for the helicopter, and he just has to say he's a cop, and he's all he's doing is saying,
"This is Officer Brian."
Yeah, all he's doing is
delivering.
Is just saying all the technical stuff he needs to say to get the cops to bring, you know, a helicopter. He's like listening to the guy's wounds. He's like giving, you know, them all the details about where they are, what the guy's condition is and stuff. And you can see what the scene is really about is him staring at Vin Diesel, waiting for Vin Diesel to beat the crap out of him. Yeah. Like you can see, you can see that's what that scene is about. He's not that's a brilliantly written and executed scene because the dialogue is not about what the scene is about, where they are just going through what he should be saying, but the scene works because you see the fear in Paul Walker's eyes as he's looking at Vin Diesel, and he's just trying to be there, like, I'm just trying to help your friend. I'm just trying to help your friend. You can see that in his mind, where it's like, let me just keep trying to help your friend, and you're not going to beat me up while I help your friend. But you might kill me right after I hang up the phone. That's what he's thinking. And I like, you can see him start to back away a little bit, but the moment that the how that all works is brilliant. Like, and so it's a whole sequence of events. It's the moment where it's a little cheesy at the races, where he reveals to the girl that he's interested in, the woman that he's interested in, that he's a cop. But that's kind of where the whole momentum starts, though, for the whole end of the film, and then it's all brilliantly executed after that, and then the whole race for no what the fuck reason, like at the end with the train and stuff, like that was interesting in a sense that you could tell that Vin Diesel, the character Dom was he was in such a messed up state that he just needed to get back to his little moment of bliss.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter what was happening at that moment. They had killed the bad guys, but all that stuff had just transpired. He just lost a friend, and another friend's in the hospital, and Paul Walker's just chasing him because he's a cop, and he's now he's going to try to arrest him, and then he actually ends up doing the race with him, and it's like, that's interesting. That's a moment where it's like Paul Walker could just point the gun at him and say, "Hey, get out of the car," but he decides to do the drag race with him, and then Vin Diesel almost kills himself, and then it all kind of wraps itself up very, very poetically, or very cheesily, because basically now Vin Diesel ends that race with wrecking his car. He has no escape. So then it's about kind of the completion of Vin Diesel's arc, because the other guy, well, it's about the completion of both their arcs, but the other guy, Paul Walker, he's there now. He really has him dead to rights because Vin Diesel has nowhere to go, because he's got no car. But then he lets him go by giving him his car. So, and
yeah, I mean, there's 6 movies, so I'm interested to see where it's going.
Yes.
The end makes me interested to watch the others.
It's going to be so fun. I can't believe you haven't seen any of these movies, because these are the dumbest, cheesiest movies, and it's just going to get dumber and cheesier and more over the top. That's the cool thing, is that they really just let it go. In this first movie, they kind of try to take themselves a little bit seriously. But as the series progresses, it just gets they just know how dumb they are, and they just have fun with it. They're like, yeah, these guys can do anything. They can jump across a canyon or what. It really doesn't fucking matter. Just the dumbest ideas for an action sequence you can think of that are just so off the wall bonkers and don't make sense. That's exactly what all the Fast and Furious movies end up becoming.
Just one last thing I want to mention. Boy, they drive that Nos into the fucking ground, don't they?
Yeah. Well, the Nos is a big character in the film.
It is.
It's a pretty well-developed character. I think it's kind of three-dimensional out of all of the...
It's probably the best.
More dimensional than any of the other
character.
characters.
It's like the Trump thing. When they're losing the race, they just hit the nitrous oxide button, and then
you'd think that the characters might learn a thing or two about Nos. They've raced a little bit. Don't you think you've seen every race in this movie so far? Hello, you've been living this movie. It's always the guy that presses Nos the second time that wins. So you never want to be the guy that presses it first. Come on, you guys got to learn that. That's not... even the guys that are racing all the time, make that mistake. They're like, I'm going to press my NOS now. And then, the other guy's like, too soon. And then, so, that's,
I don't know. I have a bad feeling I'm going to be seeing a lot more of that when I watch the rest of these movies.
Okay, so sum it up. What did you feel about this movie, man?
I don't... Very mixed feelings.
Good. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I hate it, and I love the end of it.
Okay, cool. I mean, it doesn't matter if we have the same opinion or not. I'm not saying that's... But basically, I agree, so I kind of think of that as a positive thing, I guess.
Okay.
but also just I also, when I saw this movie the first time, I didn't think it was that special. And this time, now knowing the whole series and looking at this movie, I actually really like this movie now a lot, because it's just a lot of dumb fun.
Okay. Okay.
And it worked. I was actually worried that it wouldn't work for the reasons that the later movies in the series are so much more over the top with the action sequences, that they're so much more entertaining with the action sequences, that this one might have, not just in comparison, might not be as entertaining, but actually it pretty much still worked. So, but just wait till you see the next ones. Holy shit.
Okay.
The second one's going to be terrible. The second one is a genuinely terrible film.
Okay.
Okay. And we will talk about that next time. Here we go. Wabam, that's it.